Today we're going to talk about RV toilets and the common problems and the simple solutions. Then after that, we're going to go to RVing without guilt in the Enjoying the RV Life section of the podcast. And now we're going to make our next stop in Wyoming's National Elk Range. And then, of course, we got to talk about RV Envy. And today we're going to talk about the Hues 30 and 50 amp Safe View power inlets. If you don't know what that is, stay tuned. They're pretty darn cool. This is Eric Stark with the Smart RVer Podcast, which delivers the smarts you need to enjoy the freedom of the RV lifestyle without the fear of breaking down. Let's talk everything RV. Today is episode 159. Let's jump into it. So we have Alexis back for one more show.
At least one, I hope.
Doesn't sound very good, right?
Yeah, geez.
All right.
Kill me after.
So we have Alexis back in the studio, ready to go on with this show and many more.
Yay.
How's that? Better introduction?
Way more positive.
All right. There we go. So she's like the Wheel of Fortune, Vanna.
Oh, yeah.
You know, She's got to be there as part of the show, right?
Pat and Vanna, yep.
All right. So before we dig into some of this stuff, I want to go over a couple little things that have hit the radar, let's say. So some of you have newer RVs with Suburban stoves in them or Suburban ranges, and they have lights, like little night lights. You hit the switch and it might be red or it might be blue. They're pretty cool, you know? Kind of worthless, but they're cool.
Yeah.
Now, the red light, in case you don't know it, ranges with the red light. You can go to Suburban's website and check your serial number. There's a recall on those.
Really?
So what happens is when things are cooking, they're afraid things might drip down and burn out or short out the circuit board. So the solution is pretty darn simple. You cut the wires at the circuit board and cut the wires at the switch that turn on the light, and then you cap them off. There's a real high-end recall, right?
Wow.
There's no replacement board. There's no solution other than that. They don't give you money back because you paid for a stove with lights. You know, It's just, oh, well, see you later. Have a good day.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's one thing, and that's not really that big of a thing. You know, that's a do-it-yourself thing. I wouldn't even go to Suburban. I wouldn't go to a dealership. It's going to take you more time to take it in, to have that done, to have the recall done, than just do it yourself. It is literally a 5-minute thing.
Right.
Even if you do a crummy job, it's a 5-minute thing. Now, that's just the red lights. Now, what's interesting about these Suburban stoves are, if you lean against it, the knobs just right, it doesn't take a lot to turn these knobs.
Uh-oh.
And so you can lean into the range or touch a knob just so and actually turn the propane on, and it'll start, propane coming out of the range. Now, you'd think you'd catch that, but supposedly at least one RV has blown up because the person hit that, went outside, didn't realize that the RV was filling up with propane.
Uh-huh.
Then, a light, something happened, water heater came on, refrigerator went on, and ignited the propane. Poof, there goes the RV.
Right.
Gone.
Yikes.
Like that movie, gone in 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Now, can you imagine, you walk out your RV, you shut the door, you're sitting outside under your awning, having an adult beverage, and kaboom, there goes your RV.
It'd be so bad.
And the awning falls on you, anyways.
Yeah.
All right, getting carried away here. So, the RV I have has that same range in it. And I tested that. And yeah, you could easily hit that knob and turn it on and not notice it.
Oh, boy.
So if you have one of those, make sure everybody in your family knows about it and check it from time to time just to make sure. Now, if you're in the RV, obviously you'd start smelling the propane, hopefully.
Yeah.
Unless you're sick or something. You'd hate to be in there and it fills up and blows up, right? That'd be a disaster. So make sure you're aware of that because it really is that simple. You can just bump it and it'll go on. It's not a real solid system, and those knobs are big for, everybody with arthritis and stuff, so they can turn them easy. I think they made this too easy. Maybe they forgot they were working with propane. Maybe they thought it was soda or something. I don't know.
Oh, geez.
So anyways, that's a whole different deal. So that's Suburban. You can go to their website. The recall's there if you haven't already got a notice from the manufacturer of your RV. Now, another interesting thing, and this one, Suburban, I'm not bashing them. I like Suburban products. They just had a bad one here, which is very rare for them. Now, I'm going to talk about the Heartland RV I bought from Bish's RV. just for a moment here. This, I'm going to put a picture. I'm probably going to do a YouTube video on this, do a short, because this just shows how little these companies care about what they build.
Yeah.
And this is just the beginning. I'm taking notes now of different things in our RV, like the crooked window, you level the refrigerator, but then the RV is not level. We'll get into that in another episode. But the back of the trailer is interesting because I was putting logos on it for the Smart RV Podcast and Highway 93 RV, a little advertising, And so, someone's helping me. We center up the logo from side to side, but yet it's not centered underneath the camera, the clearance lights, or the logo they put up there for the brand of the RV.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, it's a Heartland North Trail. Did I say that? Yeah, Heartland North Trail. Let me make sure I get the Heartland North Trail. Yeah, okay, I got it. All right. Bought it at Bishop's RV, the places that tells you you're going to buy a pile of junk before you walk out the door, and they're right. But anyway, so we center this up, but yet it's not centered to anything else. So if it's not centered to the clearance light, it's going to look really weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we actually had to put it off center about 4 inches.
Yeah.
To make it look centered.
Yeah.
And then you really start looking at it. The clearance lights are on, let's say, the right rear as you're facing it. That clearance light on the far right is closer to the side of the RV than on the far left by about 3 or 4 inches. Then you look at the tail lights. They're off. They're not lined up. So either they lost their tool for drilling holes and marking things, or the needle in their arm filled with heroin got in their way of marking. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it just shows how little these companies care, because I'm sure it's every RV. So I took a picture of it and then lined it out in Adobe Illustrator to see how to show it. It's amazing. So this picture will be eventually in this episode. I don't think it's going to happen now, but it's going to be on YouTube, so look out for that. And I'll mention that in the next episode as well, because I want you guys to see this.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. So that's why I say you shouldn't buy a new RV. Now, I went into this with my eyes wide open, because some people, why'd you buy a new RV, Eric? You're always talking about it.
Right.
Because it's just like you got to do it,
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Why is the mountain there? Or why'd you climb that mountain? Because it's there, Yeah. Why'd the chicken cross the road, get the other side, whatever. So just remember that when you buy a new RV, don't have any expectations other than it's an RV and it will probably roll down the road.
Yeah, exactly. Probably.
Probably, I mean, it goes on and on and on. I came across something the other day. The lifespan of RV is 10 years, according to this one website.
Wow.
10 years. Now, that's not accurate.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like, where'd they even get that number from? They got it somewhere in the RV industry.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It'll last more than 10 years. I think, if we can get 11 out of ours, we'll be doing good. No.
Yep.
But anyway, so that's just one little thing.
Huh.
So, also, if you bought an RV, have a newer one or an older one, doesn't matter. You got some goofball stuff like that, send us pictures, man. Go to our website.
Yeah.
There's a contact us page there, or text us at 406-961-8688. Email, text, whatever. It'd be great to see them. These things are comical.
Yeah, they are.
It's annoying, but it's comical.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on. Let's get into something a little more fun. So let's go to enjoying the RV life, and we're going to talk about RVing without guilt.
That's so much fun.
Yeah.
You lied.
This is no problem for me.
Yeah.
This might be fun.
It will.
So this is a 5-point list that Alexis has compiled. So Alexis, explain to us about RVing without guilt.
Well, do you have a family? Do you hate them? No.
Yes and yes.
Buy an RV and leave them behind. No, I'm just kidding. No, but that's what can happen sometimes. Either you bought an RV, you kind of got this plan set that this is what you're going to do every year, or you're even more involved. You're just on the road all the time, maybe working remotely, and you can have some family jealousy there. Either they're jealous you're not coming to see them, or they're jealous they're not doing what you're doing. So we definitely want to talk about it, because it's not something you should feel.
That's right.
Yeah. You gotta do your own thing, and a good way to alleviate this is have good communication with your family. If they're feeling like you're leaving them behind, just keep in touch with them, tell them what you're doing, just keep them in the loop, maybe that's what will fix it. Otherwise, cut them out of your life.
There you go.
No, but you can visit them too. I mean, especially if they're in the U.S. and you're traveling around, there's nothing wrong with making a trip to see them. So, talks about embracing quality over quantity. We might not be able to spend a ton of time, but make that time quality. And the third point was focusing on yourself. It sounds a little flu with the self-care and personal growth, but that's what we're talking about a little bit. And then cultivating a supportive community. We know we've talked about this a lot before, about RV memberships and clubs, social media groups, getting in contact with them, maybe getting ideas how they deal with this. And then having perspective on the whole matter. You don't want to have that guilt. You just appreciate what you get to do and enjoy it the most you can.
Yeah, this is like typical to me. It's like just would be a good family anyways. Like if you practice these things, it would improve the quality of the family.
It's true.
We're not talking about young children here
right.
when they get into their teen years and they know more than you do and they don't want to go on these trips because they want to have a party while you're gone.
Yeah.
That's different, but still sharing the experience might get them to want to do it. But
right.
I can see that where sometimes someone might be talking about how they travel all the time. And you just get tired of hearing about it because it's just almost bragging. It's narcissist in a way,
Yeah, exactly.
But if you're sharing it with them experiences, hey, I thought you'd appreciate this picture, bring them a trinket back from time to time from wherever you go. Thoughtful stuff. And like it says here, point 2, embrace quality over quantity. So when you are with them, make sure you have a good time.
Right.
It's not just I'm going to spend time with this person because I have to.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So it makes sense. It's just be good family practice.
Yeah. Yeah. No matter what.
So that's nice. I don't have this problem RVing with guilt. Not at all. Our family's pretty spread apart.
Yeah, true.
Love my brothers, and that's all that's left, and that's it. We have no family.
Yeah.
So it's easy for me.
Yeah.
Friends, don't have any friends either. See, life's easy for me. We got a cat.
It's a great cat.
So we care about our cat. Now, when we come home, we always bring it a gift, a magnet for its refrigerator or something.
So cute.
So, no, really, it makes sense, though, because some people can feel left out, family members. And, like an RV, you might have a smaller RV that's really only for 2 people, maybe you and your spouse.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not like you can invite somebody.
Right.
But sometimes people don't understand that.
Yeah, exactly.
We can all fit in there. It's like, no, we can't.
No, not if you want to live.
My wife barely fit in here,
Yeah.
Alone you and your kids or whatever.
Right.
But, maybe include them in other ways. Say, hey, we're going to be in such and such place. It's only a few hours away. If you guys wanted to come out one day for the day, we could plan these activities, involve them that way,
Exactly.
You don't necessarily have to sleep in the RV, have that experience, but they can go out there. That's probably more what somebody'd want anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, you guys are smart out there. You know what to do with your family, how to deal with them, but we're just throwing out some ideas. And these points will be on the website, smartrver.com, under enjoying the RV life, staying on the roads where we're going next.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just go there since I already said it. Now, let's talk RV toilets. Man, that's exciting. So the common problems you have with your toilet, the simple solutions. Toilets are kind of this thing that, you like to keep them out of sight, out of mind, right? Because, we all know. The only time a toilet is really cool is when it's brand new.
Yeah.
Then you can touch it anywhere. You could lick it. You can do anything you want with it. It's clean and sanitary. Once it's installed, man, it's a whole different beast. Now it's just a nasty toilet.
Yeah.
So every RVer or every RV has a toilet in it. I mean, almost everyone does, whether it's built into a shower, even these little Class B motorhomes have these little bathrooms in them, a step above a jail cell bathroom in some cases. Honestly. But it's there. You got a toilet. It's not stainless steel like you'd find in a nice quality prison, but it's there.
How do you know that?
So I've heard.
Oh, okay.
So today, after you subscribe to our YouTube channel, I had to get this plug in, do yourself a favor and check your toilet and see what model number it is, or the model name, and write that down in your log or your journal that you're keeping all these records in anyway, hopefully, because I've talked about that. And then after you do that, go to Dometic or Thetford's website, and those are pretty much the only two toilet brands around in the U.S., and download the parts list. Anything else you want to download for that toilet or your awning, you might see your awning there and download that too. But download the parts list. Okay, remember though, subscribe to our YouTube channel first. Not related to us, but just subscribe there. Now, we'll get back to that in a little bit anyways. So do that, then you have it. And then that information is at your fingertips, but there's going to be more. You can look at that parts list and decide, this toilet's already had this and this break. Maybe this is broken 3 times. That's only broken once. And you might say, I'm going to get some of those parts. And here you have the part numbers. Now, depending on the list, some of these websites don't update all these things all the time and part numbers change. But you can go by that part number. It's a starting point.
Yes.
Like Thetford numbers don't really ever change. They might discontinue something, but it's replaced with something, maybe a single part. Now it's part of a kit. So it's not like it goes away. Thetford's really good about it. Dometic's another story.
Mm-hmm.
So then, you can get these parts, have them on hand. And it makes life easier sometimes. Now, I'm not a fan of carrying tons and tons of parts with you when you travel, because where does it end?
Right.
Some of these parts can get ruined just sitting around. But like a water valve's pretty safe. Put it in a bag, keep it someplace is cool. It's not getting all beat up. You don't want it to dry out. And you're probably going to be good to go for years with it in the bag. Because, some of these parts sit in RV stores for years, and they pull them out of a bag and use them, and everything's fine.
Yeah.
So now let's get into some of the problems that you're going to face with an RV toilet. And so these are going to kind of be based on questions we get asked. Water leaks are the big thing of one kind or another. So, I have a leaking, my toilet's leaking water. Well, what does that mean? Is it leaking water when you flush it? Is the water coming out at the base of the toilet all over the floor? Or is the water leaking out of the back when you flush it, or all the time? So when you flush the toilet, if the water leaks out on the floor, more than likely the seal between the toilet and the floor flange is leaking.
Yeah.
So you'd have to replace that. And if the water's dirty, it definitely is that. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can't really tell, But when you flush it, water comes out on the floor, more likely it's that floor seal. Now, the valves on toilets are either on the side or in the back, depending on the brand of the toilet, the model, and so forth. So if it's leaking fresh water out of the back or the side when you flush it, like the valve opens up and the crack's on the opposite side of the valve, then that valve is bad and you would replace it. Mm-hmm. Pretty straightforward. It just takes sometimes getting on your hands and knees, maybe a flashlight, looking to see what's going on. And I say that because you can't go to a store and say, my toilet is leaking water. And where's it leaking at? The guy asks you. And you say, I don't know.
Oh.
So you want him to help you fix it, but yet you're not helping him to help you to fix it.
Right.
So you have to help him. So look.
Yeah.
And, it might just be a constant drip out of the back of the water valve, and it's not the valve itself, it's the water line going to it. So it might just need a seal, or maybe that fitting is bad. I just got a text message from Bob, I think, this morning. Pictures of a water line going to his toilet, and it's one of these plastic fittings with the crimp, at the barb on it with the crimp. And these fittings are just horrible. They're white. They break all the time. I hate it when we work on an RV here and I see those fittings because at least one's going to break. It's just normal. They're a pain. Could be the fitting or the seal. So determine if it's a seal or just replace the fitting and be done with it. Put a new one on and you're good to go. So that's leaking water, fresh water. So you have to understand or look to see where it's leaking at. Front of the toilet, the base when you flush it, or not the front, but the back of the toilet, the side of it. And you can do this. This is pretty easy stuff. And most of the time it's the water valve. I mean, probably 90% of the time.
Yeah, yeah.
And sometimes the water line going to it, it might drip occasionally. Sometimes it's tightening up. The water line fixes it.
Right.
You got to keep an eye on that. Make sure it just didn't fix it for another week.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes they loosen up a little bit, or they weren't that tight, and that seal compresses just a little bit more as you're traveling, and it forms a little leak. So it's not always into the world. So sometimes it's pretty basic. And these water valves, like on Dometic 300 series toilets, they're easy to replace. because it's just one screw that holds it in, one water line, well, two water lines, one going to the vacuum breaker and the inlet. But they're real simple. It's a do-it-yourself thing. Now, some of the Thetford toilets, you have to take them out, but they're still not hard. It's just a couple of screws and a water line, Just takes a little bit longer, but they're not that difficult. So these are do-it-yourself repairs.
Yeah, don't be intimidated.
I'd say everything on an RV toilet is pretty simple. Now, the other thing people might run into is the water keeps running after the pedal's been depressed. So you press the pedal, let go, and the water keeps running. So that would be a water valve. It's gone bad. Like a Dometic 310, for example, it has a little plunger that you can actually push with your finger. That might just be real sticky and doesn't come out. Or it comes out very, very slow. Maybe over, a span of 3 hours, it might come back and the water might stop running. So you just replace the valve. I wouldn't even try to fix it. Just replace it, because if you fix it, it's probably going to be a temporary fix. You're going to be back on doing this thing again, unless it's one of these situations where you're out somewhere and you have to fix it just to get you by through the weekend or whatever, And that's where becoming this great do-it-yourselfer or a smart RVer really comes into handy.
Yes.
Because, man, you don't have to ruin a trip for something so silly.
Exactly. Yeah, because it will happen.
Exactly. Yeah, everything happens all once you leave the house. So, that's one thing. The water can keep running, generally the water valve. Sometimes it can be the pedal mechanism, depending on the toilet. Some of the Thetfords have, older ones especially, have springs and levers and stuff. And the springs can get sticky, stretched out, and that might be it. But, if you push up the pedal and the water keeps running, it's definitely the valve. It's not something else. So that's another area where there's problems with toilets with simple fixes. Now, the other one this is fairly new because toilets have changed, that the pedal doesn't do anything when you press it. Now, Thetford has their Style Light toilets that, I don't know how to describe it. It's a little cylinder with a little knob on it.
Yeah.
Sticks out. It breaks off quite often. And then the pedal just flop back and forth. It won't do anything. It's part of what they call a water valve, even though you're not hooking up water to it, but the water, it works the water valve. So that's a simple fix. So that's on a Thetford style toilet. So if that happens, it's not the end of the world. Now, if you have a Dometic 300 series toilet and your pedal doesn't do anything or falls off, your day's ruined. You got to buy a new toilet.
Yeah. Yep.
So Dometic made this toilet that only has, I think, 3 replacement parts. 4. The base seal, the ball valve seal, the water valve, and the vacuum breaker. That's it. The pedal breaks, you got to buy a new toilet. And that sucks because the pedals do break. So if you have a Dometic 300 series, treat that pedal gently. If you have kids, don't let them use the toilet. Yeah, all right, maybe with rules. So that's the other area. And remember, Dometic and Thetford are 2 different brands. Thetford is repairable, Dometic isn't, or at least their 300 series. Now, Dometic bought Sealand, and the older Sealand toilets, they're very good toilets, but they don't have that same problem. They have a pedal, but the way it works is different. It's all water valve related there. It does have a spring and a cartridge, but anyway. If you have a Sealand toilet, you know it because you have a good toilet and you're hardly ever repairing it. When you do repair it, it's very expensive because their parts are expensive. That was before Dometic bought them. Then after Dometic bought them, well, we all know the story. Everything went up. Okay, another thing is a common problem would be that the bowl doesn't hold water. So you want to keep water in the bowl. That's going to keep the sewer smells out of the RV. So that's basically a trap, like a sink trap. So it's the bowl that becomes the trap. So if the water's leaking out, that seal is getting dried out possibly, maybe worn out. So it's up to you. It's your decision. But Thetford makes a product called toilet seal lubricant. And it actually works really well. I've taken toilets that have sat for 6 months in Arizona in the desert with no water in it and brought it back to life. Works great. So if you're at that point, you can use that. If you're out on a trip or you don't want to buy it, you can put a little Vaseline around the seal, and that'll soften it up and sometimes makes it work just fine. You know, you don't want to replace these seals unless you have to, because some of them you have to take the toilet apart, and that's a hassle.
Yeah.
The Dometic 300 series you don't, which is nice, but man, you're putting your hand in some ugly place down there. Sight unseen. Who knows what you're going to come back with. Make sure you're wearing gloves. I'm just going to stop there. So toilet bowl not holding water. You know, the biggest thing about that is it just will let sewer gas in. So you definitely want to fix it, but it's not the end of the world. I mean, if you were really in a bind and you said, you know, we can just do without the toilet, but the smell's coming in, you know, if you're not going to use the toilet, you can just shut the valve, but you might have some odors from the tank. You could actually just take Vaseline and kind of seal it off, you know.
Yeah.
Just put a layer around that seal on the waste valve.
Yeah.
And there you go to close it off, you know, temporarily. Then the Vaseline won't hurt anything. You just wipe it out once you're ready to fix it.
Right.
So don't use silicone or anything crazy like that. Just use Vaseline. Yeah. I mean, even if you had grease, like wheel bearing grease, it'd work too.
Yeah.
Dirtier, nastier, but it'd still work. Then there's the occasional time where water might come out of the vacuum breaker. Now, Thetford had a toilet. I don't know if it was the Aquamagic, Starlight, Galaxy or something. These vacuum breakers leaked all the time. Yeah, you always had 100 in stock. They leaked everywhere. Those days are kind of gone. They've got vacuum breakers figured out now. They don't seem to leak nearly as often. They're problem-free. They're not even really worth it for stores to stock anymore. You know, maybe one Sealand one and that's it. Now, with that being said, and I did a video on this and I talked about it, that the Dometic 300 series toilet can use the same water valve as the Lippert Flowmax. And that valve comes with a vacuum breaker. Got one sitting here right on the table.
Yeah.
So if you want to replace the vacuum breaker, you know, rather than buying that Dometic 300 series valve for 70 or 80 or 90 or $100, you can get the Lippert one, the Flowmax one for $30 or less. And it comes with a vacuum breaker. You can throw that in. I wouldn't. Just extra time, one more thing, you know, easier just put the valve in. But you can hang on to it, you know. It's basically free.
Hey, there you go.
You know?
Yeah.
You're not paying for it. So that's the common problems on RV toilets and the common solutions. So these things aren't scary. So you guys don't have to worry about fixing it. Piece of cake. It's right up your alley, man. This is the do-it-yourselfer thing. Toilets are just kind of nasty sometimes.
Yeah.
That's all. But we know you guys keep it nice and clean, so we're not going to worry about it. All right. So now we're going to talk about YouTube for a split second here because I'm not pushing all the other junk we normally push. I'm going to push YouTube for a while. So by the end of 2024, that'd be this year. Yeah, we're in 2024. 2025 is coming up. All right. So we need to see, or would like to see, 10,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel. Now, we're only about 8,000 away. Our last call out for this, we got several hundred new subscribers, which is absolutely awesome. But we want to get to 10,000 by the end of the year. 10,000 kind of puts us on the map for stuff. You know, we don't advertise on this show per se. We have no income from it other than 50 cents a month from YouTube, 25 cents a month from something else. We don't get much. So that'll help us. We just really want to have a good channel, a channel that people appreciate. So the more subscribers we get, it certainly makes it worthwhile to keep on going with these great videos. So tell your friends, you subscribe, share it with everybody. Even if you don't like us, just subscribe anyways. You've done, you know, you can't do any worse than that. Yeah. And if you have friends, just tell them to subscribe. Subscribe in their name and their email. Just get their email and sign up for them. You know, do whatever it takes. We just need 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. That's all we ask. We don't ask for much. All right. So to pay you back for that, let's go to the next stop. So I'll stop talking, and we're going to talk about Wyoming's National Elk Range.
Yeah.
And so this is another Alexa's choice.
Yes.
It wasn't the word I wanted, but that worked. So if you like Wyoming and you like animals, this is it. This is the place to go. So tell us about it, Alexis.
It's very cool. Yeah. This was a haven for wildlife that was established in 1912. Their elk population was really dwindling, so thus, the National Elk Refuge became, you know, a refuge for elk, bison, bighorn sheep, wolves, and a lot of birds, too. So it's not just elk, but that's the main thing. So it's really cool. Yeah, it's just beautiful. You can drive there. You can go see the elk. It's in an incredible place. I mean, the Teton Range is in the back. You can't beat that. That's
Tetons
beautiful.
are awesome.
Oh, they're so cool.
Yeah.
So when you go there, you can learn about their conservation efforts, maybe learn how you can help with that. It's just a very worthwhile cause for these animals. There's a lot of cool things you can experience, lots of activities. Even during the winter, there's actually guided sleigh rides, which are really cool. Yeah. That's super fun if you've ever
common
wanted.
up in this area too.
Yeah, they do it here too. So you get to really get that intimate experience with the wildlife and really see them up and close. Yeah, you can take photos of them. There's a lot of bird watching opportunities. And obviously, like we talked about, everything around you is so beautiful. So you really can't lose traveling here. It's just, there's so much to see, so much to do, so much to learn. So a very cool place.
Yeah, in these places, they're educational, but it's, you probably forget a lot of it.
Yeah.
But it's interesting at the time.
Yeah.
You see a little more reason, or the reasons why it's there.
Yeah, exactly.
And, a lot of these parks are that old, from 1912, 1920.
Yeah.
That's when things really took shape, because whoever the president was there was trying to generate jobs and stuff.
Yeah.
So they had the CCC.
Yes.
Not the CCP, not that Communist Party. It was the no.
Oh, like
So it was the Conservation Corps workers or something.
Yes.
They built a lot of these parks, had
Very
a lot
cool.
to do with it,
Yeah.
So it's an interesting thing. And that makes me think of someplace we went this last weekend.
Ooh, yeah.
And we're going to talk about this in the next episode. Alexis, Can you make a note? Because I'll forget.
Yeah, I will.
All right. So Whitehall, Montana. And it ties in with a lot of what we talk about, going to all these different places and little towns and stuff. But this place is very unique because of one person who made the difference whether Whitehall would stand out to us or not. So we'll talk about that in our next episode, 160. So now that brings us to RV Envy. I almost said the end of the show, but I knew there was something missing. So we're talking about the Hues Safe View Power Inlet. So this is what is on the side of your RV. For those with newer RVs that have the twist lock plug that plugs into the side of your RV, not, older ones don't have that. They just go into a little compartment.
Yep.
So the twist locks are cool. So you have a power inlet. Typically, they don't last forever. You have to replace it sooner or later. And after taking mine out to put in the Hues one, I'm like, wow, everybody needs to take that out and see how crummy of a job they did installing it,
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty darn bad.
Yeah.
So that'll be another episode. But the Hues power inlet, what's cool about it is not only is it nice looking, it's got a stainless steel cover on it, but on the left-hand side of the cover, it has a GLD, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, GLD. When it's all green, the power at the park or your house is all good. Okay. There's no issues. Like at my house when I installed it, I have a set of outlets that I know aren't grounded properly.
Okay.
And I plugged into that, and the G popped right up red, flashing red. Danger, danger, Will Robinson.
Yeah.
And so I plugged it into another outlet that I knew was right, and it went away. And it also has some white LED lights on the back of it or on the side. It's kind of hard to describe it. They glow. So at night, when you're plugged in, it lights up a little bit. So at night, you see it more than you would during the day. Mm-hmm. But the green or the red is definitely visible.
Okay.
So we went to this park in Cardwell, Montana, and plugged in. Everything went green. Now, what's interesting, though, it didn't pick up on this, is the 30-amp outlet at the park was bad. Because when we left, one of my prongs on my surge protector was changing colors because it was getting hot, and the cord was actually hot. So that outlet was real loose. And I knew it plugging it in. I kind of wanted to see what would happen.
Yeah.
See if someone would burn up or not. I could have plugged into the 50-amp outlet and reduced down, but I just wanted to do this to see what would happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't tell anybody at the park because there's a bunch of kids in the office. They're not going to care.
They don't know.
But, when you plugged in, you could tell that there's something wrong there. So be aware of that. That's a whole different thing. But be aware of that when you plug in. If it's not right, it starts sparking when you're plugging in. You got problems.
Yeah.
But this Hues power inlet, the Safe View, I had to think of the name. Depending on 30 amp, 50 amp, but they're $100 basically. They're super cool. So if you have to replace your power inlet, it's the way to go. If you just want to do it so when you plug into a park, you can see what you're getting, Now, it doesn't mean the park is going to fix the problem, but at least you know where you're at. You might decide, you know what, I'm not going to stay here, or I'm going to ask for another spot, or, try something out.
Yeah, honestly.
It gives you a little idea, especially if you don't have a surge protector or a Hues autoformer power booster. At least you have a clue what's happening, And not all parks are going to fix it. Most of them deny, oh, no, everything's good,
Yeah.
Check them out. They will be on our website, sunpromfg.com, on the homepage. They're there, and it's just another great product that, your neighbors are going to be envious when they see that thing. Wow, that's pretty darn cool, man. Where'd you get that? All right, so now, again, just a reminder, check out our YouTube channel and subscribe. Now, we're coming to the end of the show now, or at least now we are. So our next episode is going to be episode 160. Why do power cords, ends, and adapters melt or burn? Gee, where do you think this subject came from? But we're going to get into more than just my adapter getting a little change color. We're going to talk about the woes that consumers go through dealing with these problems, and how many people don't really understand what's causing it. And that's really what's important, is what's causing it, knowing what's making that happen. So we had a great show today. We covered a lot of ground, went to a lot of places, learned a whole bunch. I feel smarter. What about you, Alexis?
I do, actually, for once.
She even got a tattoo on her forehead, the Smart RVer.
Yes, I did.
All right, everybody. This is Eric Stark with the Smart RVer Podcast. It's been great hanging out with you. So if I don't see you on the road, let's connect at smartrver.com.